Hey there. So, if you've ever tried meditating, I'm sure you've heard the same thing over and over. Focus on your breath. But have you ever stopped to ask, why? What are we actually trying to do here? Well, today, we're going to peel back that first layer and get into the really deep philosophy behind this whole practice.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a pretty radical idea that is really the foundation for all of this. This quote from the Dhammapada. It's not just some nice ancient proverb, it's making a huge claim about reality itself. It's saying that our entire experience of the world, our happiness, our sadness, what we think is real, it's all shaped, created, and projected by our own minds. And that one idea right there is the key to everything else we're going to talk about.
So if the mind is that powerful, why is it so important to train it? Well, to get that, we have to understand the problem that meditation is actually trying to solve. And believe me, it's a lot bigger than just managing your daily stress.
At the heart of it all is this concept of dukkha. Now, we usually translate that as suffering, but it's more subtle than that. Think about it. You get that job you wanted, you buy that new thing, and for a little while it's great. But then the feeling fades, right? There's this low-grade background hum of dissatisfaction. That's dukkha. It's this built-in unsatisfactoriness of chasing after things that, by their very nature, can't make us happy forever.
And this feeling, it's not just a one-off thing. It's part of a much bigger cycle called samsara. The best way to picture it is like being on a hamster wheel. You're constantly running, chasing the next good thing, running away from the next bad thing, but you're not actually getting anywhere. That's samsara. It's just this endless loop, and it's powered by our own minds.
So what's keeping that hamster wheel spinning? The teachings say it basically comes down to two main things that feed off each other. First, there's craving, that constant wanting, that itch for things to be different than they are. But what's driving the craving? It's a fundamental ignorance, specifically this mistaken idea that there's a solid, permanent me in here that we have to protect and please at all costs. This sense of ego is what craves, and the craving reinforces the ego, and round we go.
Okay, so if we're all stuck on this wheel, is there a way to get off? Absolutely. And that's what this is all about. So let's look at the goal, this state that lies beyond all that suffering.
That destination is called nirvana. And it's really important to know, this isn't some kind of heaven you go to after you die. It's a state of being you can realize right here, right now. The word literally means to extinguish, like blowing out a candle. Imagine those fires of craving and confusion finally just going out. What you're left with isn't a void. It's this incredible peace, this total freedom, and this crystal clear view of how things really are.
There's a fantastic analogy for this. Think of samsara as a movie playing on a screen. We get so sucked into the plot, right? We laugh, we cry, we get angry at the villain. We totally forget it's just light and shadow. Nirvana is that aha moment when you realize you're not the character in the movie, you're the screen itself, the clear, calm, undisturbed space that the whole drama is just passing over. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you actually do that? How do you stop being the character who's lost in the movie and realize you're the screen underneath it all?
Well, the Buddha didn't just point to the top of the mountain and say, "Good luck." He actually drew a map, and that map is called the Noble Eightfold Path. It's known as the middle way because it's all about finding balance, avoiding the extremes of punishing yourself on one hand and just mindlessly indulging on the other.
This path is basically broken down into three big trainings, and they all build on each other. First, you've got morality. This is about cleaning up your act in the world, how you talk, what you do. That creates a stable foundation. Then, on top of that, you build concentration. This is where you train the mind to be steady and clear. And once you have a stable, clear mind, then you can develop wisdom, which is the profound insight that actually sets you free.
Now that second pillar, concentration or samadhi, that's our focus. This is the gym for the mind. This is where we find the actual hands-on practice of meditation.
And just to show you how absolutely central meditation is to all this, think about Zen Buddhism. We think of it as this deep, complex philosophy, right? But the name itself, Chan in China, Zen in Japan, it's just the pronunciation of the Sanskrit word dhyana, which means meditation. The entire school is named after the practice. That's how critical it is.
And this isn't just one single technique. It's more like a whole toolkit. You've got the basics, like watching your breath.
But then you have these other, pretty wild tools, like the legend of Bodhidharma literally staring at a wall for 9 years, or wrestling with these bizarre riddles that are designed to completely break your normal patterns of thought.
The Zen master Dogen said it perfectly with this beautiful looping paradox. He's saying the whole point of looking so closely at yourself is to eventually forget yourself entirely, to let go of that tight, clenched idea of me. And when you do that, he says you're actualized by myriad things. In other words, you finally see that you're not separate from the world, you're deeply connected to everything.
But that brings up a really interesting problem, right? How do you try to forget something, especially something as stubborn as your own ego? The more you try, the more you're thinking about it. It seems like a total catch-22.
Well, the answer to that paradox might actually be found in another great Eastern tradition, Taoism. It offers a totally different way of approaching things that really clashes with our modern mindset.
It's this idea called Wu Wei. Now, it's often translated as non-doing, but it doesn't mean sitting on the couch doing nothing. It means effortless action. Think about a master surfer. She isn't fighting the wave, is she? She's not trying to control the ocean. She's aligning herself so perfectly with the wave's energy that she can ride it with grace. That's Wu Wei. It's moving with the flow of life instead of constantly struggling against it.
And you can see the contrast so clearly here. Our modern culture is all about that outward pursuit, chasing the next thing, achieving more, proving yourself. It's all about striving. Wu Wei and meditation point to an inward alignment. It's about finding peace not by getting more, but by wanting less, by letting go. One is a state of constant effort. The other is a state of profound ease.
And you know what's so cool? Modern neuroscience is actually starting to prove this ancient wisdom right. Brain scans show that we're at our most creative, our most effective, not when we're stressed and grinding it out, but when we're in a state of calm, focused flow. This ease we're talking about, it's not laziness. It's actually the most efficient way to operate, because you're not wasting all that energy fighting with yourself.
So when you put it all together, you see that meditation is so much more than just a little trick to calm down. It's a deep, radical practice of shifting your entire way of being, from striving and doing to simply being. It's about letting go. So that leaves us with one final thought for you to chew on. In a world that is screaming at you 24/7 to do more, be more, and have more, what do you think you could possibly gain by learning, just for a little while, to do less?